Hi, my name is Christina Allen. This is my video response for Module 4. After reading the book, Why Are So Many Minority Students in Special Education? Understanding Race and Diversity in Schools by Beth Harry and Janet Klingner, I have become a lot more interested in this topic. This book was a great read and very eye-opening. I really enjoyed this book because it was easy and well written. There was a ton of information provided about minority students in special education. In this video response, I will discuss 3 parts of the book that stood out to me most. First off, I want to apologize. I've been sick all week, so my asthma is bad and it's hard for me to breathe. The first chapter was Chapter 1, which talked about the ethnic disproportionality in special education. The second chapter was Chapter 4, which talked about the opportunity to learn in the classroom. And the last chapter that stood out to me was Chapter 7, which talked about bilingual issues and the referral process. I will describe these 3 parts of the book that stood out to me in more detail. The first part that I found interesting was Chapter 1. I felt this chapter was a great introduction to the whole book. This chapter gave an overview on the ethnic disproportionality in special education. The data found on page 2 for the overrepresentation for black students had the most dramatic data. That was 2.28 times as likely to be designated EBD and 2.75 times more likely to be designated ID, as were all ethnic other groups combined. At the end of Chapter 1 on page 19, it stated, "There's no escaping the negative implications of minority overrepresentation in special education." This quote stood out to me because working in a public school in the northwest suburbs, you do not see a lot of disproportionality, primarily in my school, because I'm primarily white dominant school. So this chapter overall was very interesting to me and eye-opening. The second part that I found interesting was Chapter 4. This chapter is about the opportunity to learn in the classroom, and it is very interesting to me because this is a topic I strongly agree with. Page 75's example of comparing an excellent teacher to a music teacher was very interesting. Chapter 4 stated, "We believe the differences between these teachers reflect both teacher skill and teacher expectations. Clearly, Mrs. L had a repertoire of skillful instructional techniques, while the music teacher did not." I agree that a teacher's behavior and skills can affect a child's behavior. I see it daily and weekly at my school. So overall, in order for students to grow and learn, they do need to have that adequate opportunity to learn from their teachers, and they should be given a teacher that has those skills and techniques that will be effective in a classroom. The third part I have found interesting was Chapter 7. This chapter discussed the topic This chapter discussed the topic of bilingual issues and the referral process. This topic caught my attention because even though the school I work in is primarily white, we do have a small Hispanic population, and just this year it's become more apparent that just this year we've had more referrals from the teachers for speech primarily. So we've had to outsource to have testing done. And on page 126 in Chapter 7, it said, "Placement decisions are difficult because no test of language proficiency has yet been developed that can adequately let us know when a child whose primary language is not English is ready to be tested only in English." And that point is so important because correct testing is key for correct placement. And if that placement isn't there, or if the testing is not there, the placement is not accurate. So in conclusion, this book was very, very informative and well written. Chapter 12 of the book had a wonderful wrap-up and conclusion. In Chapter 12, it was alarming to read that, quote, "We conclude that disproportionality in the school district is indeed a problem because of the numerous inequitable factors influencing all phases of the placement process." from the discoveries of the inequities were, from the book, poor teacher quality, large class size, and so on. By having all these is very alarming. So this book gave great recommendations of all levels, and because this book was an excellent read, I have recommended this book to several coworkers as well.